I am Joe Maddocks, most commonly known as J Madfit on Instagram. And I am a personal trainer. I'm an online coach and heavily into the sport of calisthenics. I got into calisthenics, funnily enough, through a mate called John when we were 18 years old. We were going to the gym, very simple anytime fitness, and he said to me, let's try this new training style. And I was actually the one who was like, really? Like, I don't want to try that. I just stick to the weights. And then fast forward a few years, I'm the one who stuck it and he didn't. And then lockdown really pushed me to utilize calisthenics because of the lack of gym equipment. So that in 2020 is when it really started to push on, and I started to push it myself. I started to push it towards clients, and that is where the journey started. Yeah, so within calisthenics, I wouldn't say I've got the biggest credentials when it comes to competitions, but I've done my fair share in the last 3-4 years. So probably the biggest ones is we did the UK National Streetlifting competition in 2023. It was in Basingstoke, and that was great. So that was streetlifting, so based on 1 rep maxes, pull-ups, chest dips, muscle-ups, and squat. And I entered the under 73 kilo category and came first in that, where I lifted, and it's still my PRs to this day, where I did a chest dip of 102.5 kilos, muscle up of 32.5 kilos, a pull up of 77.5 kilos, and a squat of 160 kilos, which scares me now because I weighed 67.6 kilos when I did all of those. So a lot of those lifts were well above my body weight. So yeah, that's probably some of my most impressive lifts, but that's not something I do as much anymore. I don't love lifting as heavy as that. I like lifting heavy, but I'm all about training for longevity, training for functionality, and making sure that when I'm older, my bones and joints don't ache. Yeah, like I was just doing your standard weight training, just trying to get as big as I possibly can. Like I was 18, so I've been training for a really long time. I started when I was 13, so young age. And we were bench pressing, bent over row, bit of deadlifting, overhead press, like just your traditional bodybuilding moves. And don't get me wrong, I did push-ups and I did pull-ups. And I was doing muscle-ups at that time, but I wasn't in calisthenics like front levers, planches, handstand push-ups. They weren't anything. I didn't know what that stuff was. I wouldn't be able to tell you 90% of what I know of this at this day. So yeah, just your standard weight training. But oh man, it's mad. I look back at myself and I was probably bigger then, in a way, but nowhere near as mobile and probably as athletic as I am now as well, actually. So a training week for me of 2026 is a little bit different to 2025 because my goals are now to do with calisthenics, of course, and specific skills, which I'll get onto in a minute, but also running. Very heavily into my running at the moment. So my typical training week, and mobility as well, my typical training week will consist of 3 upper body sessions. So I'll have a calisthenics session, which I would call a heavy duty session. So that's where you got your heavy lifts, like heavy pull-ups or muscle-ups, heavy dips, but also some skills around that as well. So at the moment I'm working on increasing my Hefestos, they're called, and also my planche. So Hefesto is Hefesto. Hefestos, which is like a reverse muscle up almost. Your hands are like up here and you pull yourself up and come through. So another crazy skill. And then on my other upper body days, is one of them is called fine tuning, which I like to say is where you'll do less weight, more reps, And often in those days, I'll be doing variations of the skills again, like your Hephaestos and planches, but I'll be using more banded variations where it's not so much toll on my body and I can actually focus on the form a lot more where I'm weak. Then I have another upper body day, which is just focused on those skills I've said again, where it's just those skills. There's no reps involved. It's just those skills. Then I have a lower body day. I run twice a week as well. So I'll do, one of my runs will be intervals, focusing on speed. The other running day will be focused on building up, depending on the run plan that I'm on, but it'll be building up my like zone 2, using zone 2 to build up my like oxidization in your muscles and your lactate threshold, and that's where I'll be running more towards 12, 15, 16k. And then my day of rest is mobility, where I'll focus on making sure I'm increasing the ranges where I'm weak, making myself strong where I'm weak. So lots of, looks like stretching, but it's not. It's actually quite hard work, working the areas of my body where I'm not as strong as I'd like to be. So the best ones would be something like a Jefferson lift. I have my own variation of it, but it's called like a Jefferson curl or Jefferson lift. A Jefferson curl is better actually for it than Jefferson lift. Commonly known in the calisthenics community, everyone uses their own word for it, but I call them L-sit compressions, where I'm on the floor, but my hands are towards my knee as far down as I can, and I'm raising my legs up together. So it's really focusing on building up my core compression and my hip flexors as well, which aligns with some goals of mine. More commonly known exercises are like skin the cats, so going around on the rings or the bars with really straight legs and compression again. That's helping me build compression and also building up my shoulder extension. So there's some examples I think that people will be able to understand and why I'm doing them. I'll have, the most common thing is I'll have a great start to the week, and I'll hit, let's say for an example, an upper session. I'll make sure that if I miss a session, I'll look at what session I've missed. I'm like, right, let's have a look at the rest of my week. Okay, I'll make sure that my legs definitely get hit in that week. I'll make sure that I definitely get a run in if I know I've got a busy week as well. So then I've had a run, I've had a leg day, I've had an upper body day, and there I can work from that. And then I always will try and get 2 uppers in, because 1, I love it, and 2, it's making sure the way that I train, making sure that the goals that I have in my upper body days are really, I prioritize them. So I want them to come first. And then after that, I probably actually prioritize a run as well. I'd love to get my running goals and my upper body goals are my most important. So like I say, on a bad week, I'm probably going to get 1 run, 1 lower, 2 upper. That's a bad week of 4 sessions. That's a really bad week, I'd say. But that's no, I don't get down about it. It's just like, right, it is what it is. We move. What can I do to improve? And then off we go. My goal, just with training in general, and this is like my big umbrella goal that I work off of, like, I guess you could say, like, reverse engineer it. So I look at the goal of what I have, which is I want to be, me and my friends say, like, strong in every room. I like to not be restricted in any room. I don't want someone to say, let's go here, and I'm like, I can't do that, I've never done it before. I want to be able to hold myself in most rooms. And at the moment, one of the ones that was the biggest weaknesses for me was running. I felt like I was well off the pace in running compared to other people. And it's not good to compare, but I look at the elites and I'm like, right, I'm not that far off in this, but running, I was like, I'm well off. So I started getting into that over the last 2-3 years. So running goals at the moment now for me, as I've managed to pick up the pace a bit, is I want to get a sub 40 minute 10k. So that's sub 4 minute kilometers for 10 kilometers. At the moment, it's 43 minutes. That was last year, and I believe right now I'm quicker than that. But sub 40 minutes is the goal for the 10k. Last year it was to get a sub 20 minute 5k, and I managed that, so I was happy with that. I have no plans on trying that again because it was the worst thing I've ever done. And then with calisthenics, my goals are to do a Hephaesto on the bar. So it's much harder to do it on the bar than on the rings. So the same drill I was speaking about earlier, but at the moment I do it on the rings and I can complete them. I've done 3 reps in a row as my best, and I want to get that onto the bar. I want to hold a full planche for 5 seconds. Absolute arch rival. I hate the full planche. I always start practicing and then I get frustrated and stop. I don't even realize I stop, but I do. And another thing, it's more of a mobility drill, is I want to do what's called an L-sit press to handstand, but I want to do it on small parallettes. So you've got different parallette sizes in calisthenics. So let's use gravity, for example. They've got medium parallettes, which I guess are about shin height. You've got low parallettes, where are about ankle height at best, and then obviously you've got the floor. And I can do that on medium parallettes because of the space, but I really want to push on with my mobility. So I thought, let me give myself a drill, a skill and a goal that tests my mobility. So I want to press up from an L-sit, so legs out, round up into a handstand and back down on those small parallettes, which will definitely test my hamstrings, my core compression, and so on and so forth. So that's where we're at. A typical day for me, I'm waking up, and I'm not going to pretend that I love being up early. I'm not an early morning. I wish I was, but I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. But anyway, I'm up most of the time. The goal is 6:45, but it doesn't happen. More like 6:50, 6:55. And most of my time I start clients at 7:30. And what I'll do is I'll make overnight oats and have them in between a gap that I'll have. I have a 1 hour gap normally from 8:30 to 9:30 before I have loads of other clients where I have overnight oats. On a Wednesday morning, however, I protect my Wednesday mornings. They're my mornings where I start at 9:30, so I have a morning off, I call it, where I can have my scrambled eggs, because I love eggs. But if I don't have my, so when I have my oats, the next meal is always eggs, because I absolutely love eggs and they're such a good protein source. And then throughout the day, lots of training, love having yogurt, dates as well to fuel me before training sessions, and yeah, training in between clients. So I have a morning, a lot of clients, normally from 7:30 till around 12:30, 1:30, depending on the day. And then that's where I'll, again, like I say, fuel up, have some food, and then I'll train typically between 3 and 5 o'clock. Depends on the day. And then where I'll start clients again at 5:30 until 8:30. And that's most days. So, and then I'll get home and I'll edit. And then, yeah, most days I'm working 7:30 till 9:30. So it's long days, 5 days a week. Actually, that's a lie. On Fridays, I've recently taken the choice to start taking an evening off, because one, I now have a girlfriend. When I say now, it's been 2 years, and I've put her through enough of not having any time to see her in the evenings. And yeah, I just, you know what, I've been doing this like last 4 or 5 years now. I'm at a place where I can afford to take some time off and, you know, give myself time to do leisure stuff and go out for meals in the evenings, afternoons, not at 10 p.m. So yeah, that's pretty much Monday to Thursday, and then Saturdays I work in the morning as well, and then Sunday's Sunday's my day where I guess you could say I have everything off. But again, we run a session called Sunday Service, where we do calisthenics, and everyone pulls up from everywhere. Like, we got people we live in Hertfordshire, and we have people coming from Swindon, like it's crazy. So we run a session at 12 o'clock on a Sunday till about 2-3, basically till whenever anyone wants to train until. Yeah, so that's my Sundays. So I genuinely wouldn't say, and I don't mean it just to say it like I work hard on that, but I just love what I do. I don't have a day off, to be honest with you. Don't have a day off. So today, Mondays, hence why I've got time today, is my online day. So I trained so similar to my Fridays, except for the Monday afternoon isn't off like a Friday. Mondays I work until 1:30, so start again at 7:30 till 1:30. Have a 1 hour gap at 8:30. Get that coffee in as well. And then the afternoon is all about check-ins. So lots of messages, just checking in with everybody, and then the actual big check-ins of how the week's been prior and what we can do this week to make sure we are on track and in alignment with our goals and where we need to go. And then also calls. So that's for onboarding new clients as well. So calls about, like, for example, today actually I have a call with someone in Australia, which is mad. But the call's at 9 p.m. because obviously they're in Australia, so it's super late. But I was like, right, I can do that 9 p.m. get everything done, be done by 9, get that call done. Then after that call, I'm finished. My new rule to myself, which I know sounds stupidly late still, but is to be finished by 9:30 every night, because I do creep over at times. So 9:30 p.m. is the cutoff. And as years go on, I do want to bring that down to an earlier time. Lots of goals, lots of things going on, and the recovery of the last 2 years has included I go to physio, sports massage once a month. That's a massive thing, because that's like my monthly body MOT, where I'm screaming, and I swear to you, I'm not just lying, but I'm screaming. It's painful. It's really painful. And that's with a guy called Kyle, who owns a physio, his physio business called Mehab, M-E-H-A-B, in Biggleswade. And he's awesome, really knowledgeable guy. I don't just use it also just for the physio. He's a great guy, but also I learn a lot. I like to learn. It's great for me to actually understand why this has happened, because then for me, I can give clients at times, I wouldn't ever diagnose them, but I'm like, they'll say something, I'm like, okay, we could try this possibly, and then it might work, right? I'll still refer them to him, but that's where recovery for me is one of the biggest things, is going to him. And then alongside that, one of the big reasons for me this year, again, as well, with the mobility side of things, is although mobility, I wouldn't say, it's not that it just helps, it doesn't help recovery, like from, if I've got DOMs, I do mobility and it's like, oh, they go or anything, but it prevents injury, and it can prevent from the need of, I guess, recovering as much as if you weren't to do mobility is required, because where I'm increasing that strength in those end ranges and pushing my mobility at different joints and so on and so forth, where my body can feel more comfortable in areas where it didn't used to, that the toll then isn't as much as it would once be. So recovery, it's not that it's not as important, but it's not as high a rate as maybe it was before. So that's also a reason for why mobility has come into play in my routine. It's something I can do every single week that has a massive impact on my training regime. It actually took me, to go on to what you said, that it took me a while to find the split that works for me, and not just for me, but also clients. Again, how I train myself, it's like I'm testing things through myself before I give to clients. And one thing for sure is finding a balance of how to balance learning skills amongst also, lots of clients want to build muscle, and not that you won't build muscle doing skills, but there are obviously sometimes more efficient ways. And I truly believe right now I've cracked the code the best I have yet with learning skills alongside building muscle and alongside tying that all in to go to one goal. So yeah, skills and strength training can go hand in hand. Strength training helps skills, absolutely. Being strong in a pull-up and being strong in chest dips will massively help you unlock something like a front lever or a muscle up if you're strong at pulls. And if you've got very good dip strength, you're going to be stronger in a handstand and stronger towards a planche, absolutely. But balancing those two together in the same training day can be hard. So that's where, like I say, with my heavy duty days, there's nowhere near as many exercises in that compared to something like my fine-tuning day, because the intensity amongst each exercise is so much higher. We're pushing 80-90%, whereas in the fine-tuning day I'm pushing more 60 to 70%. So I can have to add more volume in exercises in those days. Each set is nowhere near as intense, but it is productive in the way of form and technique, and making sure the technical side of things is up here, whereas the intensity and strength maybe down here. Whereas you go to heavy duty, the strength's up here, the technique's still here, but it's not as much of a priority as the strength. So that's how I balance skills and strength training together. I guess I'd love to say, I'd have to go with, whether it's the biggest, but it's the one that's come to my head now, is injury for sure. I'm not indestructible, I guess, is a lesson I've learned. I've pulled my hamstring 4 times now, and before that I'd never pulled it. And the first time I pulled it was in 2022 or 3, and it was after a calisthenics competition. I won. So I won a calisthenics competition in London. It's called Coliseum, amazing. I was on a high of just one wicked, and I'm pumped. But obviously with this competition, it was only upper body. I've gone onto this track that's next to it, and I always fancy myself as fast, and so does my mate Jordan. And we had a race. First sprint, bang, off. I cut him up apparently, so we reran it. Went to do the run again. Where I'm hot on my upper body, my legs aren't warm. So I've just done sprinting. It's so fun, but people forget it's such a powerful movement. You are giving your all. It is explosive on your hamstrings, your quads. I've never had to think about this before in my life because I've, been young. Anyway, boom, going again. And then I'm like, I feel like I've just been shot twice in the back of my leg. I was like, what on earth has just happened? I've just fallen to the floor. I was like, oh my God, what have I just done? I feel like my legs have just lost all ability. And I could not even get back to my car, like, without assistance. So that is a big lesson in the sense of I'm not indestructible. You do need to warm up. And yes, this happens as you get older. But you'd think I would learn from that. I went on to pull my hamstring another 3 times since then. And the reason for that is because I train legs of the latter part of the week and all the fun stuff's on the weekend. And I don't know if how everyone else feels, but DOMS from legs is normally 48 hours. Like 48 hours in, that's when it's intense. And it's the Saturday, I'm like, oh, my legs are hurting. I'm like, stuff it, I'll just go for it. And every single time, the exact same thing. My legs have been hurting. I've done something explosive, and boom. Another time was I was doing American football, same thing. Bang, legs went. Another time it was rounders. Bang, my legs went. My hamstrings went every time. So I've learned, I've learned to not do legs near the end of the week, and to make sure I warm up and I'm not indestructible. That's what I've learned. But jokes aside, the real lesson, I think the real lesson amongst all of that is you've got to decide to warm up, stretch, mobilize yourself, or your body is going to decide that for you. It's either you make that decision yourself, or your body's going to tell you in a different way, i.e. injury. So that's one of the lessons I've definitely learned over the years. Things I do every day. I'm a very, very routine-driven person. I can't function without routine. Even on a holiday as little as 4 days, I will have routine. I can't not. I'm very, very OCD. And that actually, not to go into it, but that actually I used to really struggle with that as I was younger. I didn't realize I had it, but it made my brain go crazy. I just couldn't deal with things that didn't have order. So one non-negotiable for me is finding routine. And that routine, once I have that, I feel great. Once I know what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. And what I would be doing is making sure that I'm obviously training. If I'm traveling for that amount of time and it's this day and age now and what I'm doing, I'd make sure that I have a block for work as well. Knowing when I'm messaging clients, making sure, depending on where I am in the world, that aligns as well with my clients in terms of their time zones. Because some people, if I'm, for example, I went to Bali, and Bali, I made sure I did all my messages in the morning because it made me ahead of the day. I was ahead of time over there, essentially, from most people in the UK. So it got me ahead of the day, and also with clients in Australia and America, I was again ahead of the day or close to their time, and that made sense to do it there. And then off and train. Yeah, they're the main things, I'd say. They're the 2 main things. And then around that, in and around training, work block, I'll fit in other things that I guess aren't non-negotiables, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything else other than, there's so much in amongst work. Like, work also means editing. It means messages. It means programming. There's so much amongst work, so I could dive deep into that. But work and training, they are the 2 most non-negotiables in my life day to day, wherever I am, and will be for the foreseeable. 3 tips to everyone would be, and it's a question I get asked pretty much every single day. So 3 tips is pretty good number. The first tip is making sure to focus on building your foundational strength. Now, foundational strength means strong in your push, strong in your pull, and then I'd also say strong in your scapula. And you can work that in your push and your pull, but making sure you're strong in your scapula is huge. Understanding, not just being strong in it, but understanding how to move it. And scapulas your scapula does protraction, retraction, depression, and elevation. Understanding that's going to do a lot for you. And then being strong in your pull and your push. Often I'll say to someone, if they're a beginner, push-ups and pull-ups. And if you can't do a pull-up, band, negatives, or Australian pull-ups are a great variation. And then your push, obviously push-ups, pike push-ups, and chest dips. 3 exercises you want to work on. The second thing is, don't be intimidated, be inspired. And that's because calisthenics can be very, very intimidating, and it's absolutely understandable. I think anyone in calisthenics, we've all been on our first day in Cali, and it can be very intimidating seeing these skills people are doing and thinking, no, I can't do even that. I'm not going to ask him if he can teach me this. He's going to laugh at me, or she's going to laugh at me. So don't be intimidated, be inspired, and find a plan, a program, structure, a coach, any of those, something that brings you structure. Every goal will be completed more efficiently and more likely when you know what that goal is and in the direction you need to go. Once you have clarity, we work better. So know where you're going and how you're getting there. So find structure, find clarity with a goal, and you will achieve what you want to achieve. So yeah, choose where you want to go and have a plan around that, and you'll get there. All right, I actually would say underrated is the planche, because I'm going to do this off of the basis of how everyone else looks at it. So like, I get sent so many videos, people will be sending me a video to do this challenge. Calisthenics challenge is always going off the grid, and people are like, do this. And I'm like, I cannot do that. And they're like, yeah, you can. You do this. I'm like, yeah, but that's nowhere near the same level. I don't think people understand the difference between your arms being bent like this and your arms being straight is like an extra 2 years of training. So I'd say underrated is the planche. I'm going to say overrated. I'm going to say your core. Your core, because I think people don't understand what exercises do and don't use your core in the exercises that they see. Like, they'll be like, what amazing core strength. I'm like, yeah, but that is not what's making that person do that. So I'm going to say the core. Like, a planche is a prime example. I've got a ridiculously, sorry, I don't mean to be arrogant. I've got a ridiculously strong core. Sorry, I've got a very strong core. Sorry, I've got a really strong core. But I can't planche. And there's someone who's got not as strong a core as me, and they can. And it's not, and so I'd say your core. The biggest myth in calisthenics is that you can't build muscle. That is it. That's the biggest myth for sure. People were like, I get onboarding calls. Like, I want to start, but I'm thinking I'm going to go on like a bit of a bulk and do some weight training because I want to build some more muscle up. Then come over. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why don't we just do calisthenics and learn the skills you want to learn and build muscle at the same time? Because you can do that. Like, of course you can do that. That is the answer, I'd say. The one body part that I would say, not only, I'm not saying you don't benefit from using weights in your upper body. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, because I've used weights in my time, so I could dare I say that. But with legs, I definitely do think it's worth using. There's weighted Cali, but definitely using weights for squats or hip hinges. Deadlifts, good mornings. But then there's leg exercises that are absolutely brutal, like upper body is, where a few examples: reverse Nordics, Nordic curls. These are bodyweight exercises. Shrimp squats, which is like a Bulgarian split squat, but your leg floats in the air rather than on a bench. Some killer exercises out there still for your legs, but I would combine it with weights for it to be efficient. Otherwise, you're looking at doing loads and loads of reps to take your muscles to failure. So yeah, I would add weights, but yeah, building muscle and using calisthenics, they coexist. They can both take you to that goal. So my goals for the year 2026, I do know them exactly. So calisthenics, say full planche, barbell Hefesto, L-sit press to handstand. I also something called a God set, which is 50 pull-ups, 1 muscle up, and then 50 dips on the top of the bar. So you basically don't come off the bar, and you do 50 pull-ups, then do a muscle up, which is absolutely brutal after 50 pull-ups to get yourself up and over that bar. Then you do 50 dips on top of the bar. That's also a goal of mine this year. I had a little bit of, again, an injuries is a strong word for it, but it's a bit of an impingement. But it stops me where we're training at this level of high intensity to these goals. That tiny injury makes a big difference. You can't push your peak numbers, and it makes a difference. So I had a bit of that, so that's been put on the back burner a bit, but we're back to it now. So that's one, also a goal, which is massive. Business wise, I'm very, very grateful for where I'm at with my coaching career within personal training and online coaching. And the next big step for me is to really scale that. And first things first is the personal training world in person. I want to build a facility for calisthenics. So that's a massive goal of mine this year, is building a facility for calisthenics training, to train my clients, as well as welcoming the rest of the UK there as well. So that's a massive, massive goal, and the biggest goal. Is at the forefront of everything at the moment. And the personal life is to ensure I prioritize health. It's easy to get confused being in this fitness world, that because I go to the gym and because I do this and because I do that, I'm healthy. Healthy and fitness are very different things. You can go to the gym 6 days, 7 days a week, but that doesn't mean you're healthy, because if you want to eat bad out of that, don't sleep well, don't hydrate, don't recover, you're not healthy. So making sure I'm healthy as well has been a goal. I'm, sleeping well, eating well, hydration, recovery. That's a massive goal. And that also aligns with my goals of setting myself boundaries to make sure that I can say finish work on time, where that allows me to see family, see girlfriends, see friends, and give time to myself to do things that aren't just work. Because I'm a workaholic by all means. I love it, but it's not a bad thing. It's just I need to learn to balance things out and not just live to work.